That was high. It was high. But it was down the middle.
Would you have swung at it?
Probably me. Probably. Can't lay off the high heat.
All right, guys. Questions for Coach?
Yeah, Nate, just how does it feel being 2 days away from the first match and with an exhibition under your belt?
It's surreal. In the calendar here of what people are doing in their lives, most people are still square in summer, right? Maybe winding down, but they're still in summer mode. And even if we look at athletics, football just started. We're just kind of that test case in ahead of schedule, and so. I saw Fitz at the pool yesterday, right? And he's like, "Hey, you guys are starting training soon?" And I'm like, "Dude, we got a game in 3 days, one that counts." And so it got here fast. Everyone in the community is still rounding out their summer, and we're getting ready to kick it off. I feel like that's a privilege, being the one to kick off the season for KU athletics. It's a responsibility. But yeah, very, very excited for this to get started.
And then just to get into Rome with the somewhat more specific, I know when we had talked before, there was some uncertainty with the health of the center backs. How's everyone doing in that realm? And do you feel like you have kind of a handle on where that position is at right
now? The situation is still pretty fluid. We are hoping to get closer to full strength sooner than later. Things are largely trending in the right direction. I think I've said this. We have 5 players not participating on a daily basis, and 4 of them are center backs. So that's not completely ideal, but I think some are coming back, and the young players have been thrown squarely in the fire. So we played 4 players at center back on Saturday, and all 4, that was their first match ever with KU. 3 freshmen and a transfer. It's great, invaluable experience for those players. It's also a little bit nerve-wracking as a coach. You guys have been around me long enough to know that that's a position you want to feel solidified, that I think experience matters. That's one thing that we thought was going to be a strength, is the returning experience at that position. But you roll with the punches, and very proud of the players out there and their ability to take information, play brave. And I thought Saturday was not the easiest test in the world, right? We played a very good team with a attacking mentality, intricate sort of system, and I think overall we did pretty well.
When you have new players up front, whether it's transfers or freshmen, and you play the style that you like to play, how do you go about kind of getting them to buy into that, or getting them to understand what you want to do and how aggressive you want to be up front like that?
We try in the front end to explain the non-negotiables, explain the job description, but then really jump into the why. If we're going to ask them to make these movements and to expend all that energy, 1, why it'll work if they do that, but then 2, how it contributes to the team's success, and 3, how it can actually pay off for them individually, and that now we can get the ball in advanced areas and we can spend a lot of our time attacking. It's nice to have returning experience, and let's just say like a player like Lexi, she went from 2 goals in 2023 to 10 and 11 or 9 and 11 or whatever it was. That there is a payoff for those players, and we've talked a little bit about like our identity, our strengths, our superpowers. Like that should be one of our differentiators, is the amount of pressure we're able to apply, the consistency of it throughout the game, and the fact that we have depth this year up front should also kind of add to that strength. And we just try to do our best job of explaining why, and then to create that habit. I sometimes have to just sort of be the bad guy. I have to nag them perhaps to like, this is the standard, this is how it's supposed to be done. If it's not, let's figure out a way to get there as fast as possible. And thankfully, like this group was saying, the mindset coming in of the players, they seem to embrace it. And you can either start with a little bit of level of distrust or start with a level of trust, and I think we've started on the right end of that equation.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I was just asking Caroline and Jill, does it help those players when you have experience, like people in the midfield behind them that kind of understand already, like, and hey, we'll have your back, we're going to be there with you, like, does that does that help make it a little bit more of an easier explanation of how you're trying to do it?
I think so because if the forwards do the job correctly, there's a lot of experience behind them, and usually it's going to the end product's going to also work out, right? So they can do their jobs correctly, and someone else we can have a breakdown otherwise, and then that's not going to help the buy-in. If they do their job correctly, and the next layers are doing their jobs correctly, and we all of a sudden have the ball, it's gonna help with that. And our returning experience through those next layers, those players look like they know what they're doing, right? And that gives a level of confidence to the people in front of them. And hey, let's not forget, Jocelyn, Joe, Faith, like those are returning players from last year up front, so they could set the example. Sid and Nora were here in the spring, and so it's not all new players up there as well. Like we have people who know what they're doing up there too.
Jill talked about the jump forward position, she said. Is that unique to her or something you like to use? She called it jump forward.
Say one more.
Jump forward?
Jump forward.
Maybe she was using it as a verb where she.
What was the
jumps
question
forward,
that she answered? That she
but,
used
it
against?
was that very thing. It was just the support behind what's up in front of her.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she said sometimes I'll kind of be the jump forward, or maybe she said jump forward.
Yeah, maybe like she's Jill has improved. So Jill plays the attacking center mid, and a lot of what we do, encourages the other team to kind of play their central player, their holding center mid, and so it's Jill's job, let's say, to like make that pass not work out, and that was an adjustment for Jill, and Jill's been on the receiving end of a lot of coaching in that way, and now like her level of assuredness in what she's supposed to do, and then her ability to execute is very empowering for the whole team and the coaching staff. Jill looks like she knows what she's supposed to do a lot out there right now, and so I think that is that next layer outside the forwards, and sometimes this is maybe how she was responding it. If we're a little bit out of structure, a layer below can still solve it by kind of helping someone else. Yeah. And then we have a lot of specificity in what that looks like and where you can't get beat, and she gets it. And the more that other people can see her do it and be successful, the more that they'll kind of have the confidence to take that risk. Because we encourage risk, honestly, in the press. It just has to have some intention behind it.
So is it the specificity that you talked about? Is it a green light thing with her? She sees it, she goes, she does it, or does she still have?
Yeah, so we try to explain like when you would do it and why you would do it,
Okay.
and then perhaps when you wouldn't. And
Sure.
her compass is pretty dialed in, right? She understands the broader framework, and so do Caroline, so do Soph, so do Livy. Like the places where we have experience, they probably understand the system well enough and have been through the trial and error enough to know that like when it's time to go and when it's not. And here's the thing: is like when Jill goes, that layer behind has to go. Whether Jill's right or wrong, they kind of have to go to protect her, and we're further along in sort of that set of concepts than we have been in the past.
Cool.
By a lot
Yeah.
actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
And with Carol, so much attention preseason last year, rightly so, and then she backed it up and then some. What's the next step? What's that look like for her? What's another step where she can even improve upon what we already know is her greatness?
Yeah, Caroline's just, gosh, it's nice to have a player like her back there. We're in that phase where there's so much new and it's 1,000,000 miles per hour, and the game has slowed down for her, right? So Caroline rarely looks rushed. Part of that is that's just probably how she is as a player naturally. Part of it is her quality. Part of it is her experience. She puts the opponent in a tough situation because if they give her the ball with time and space, her delivery is pretty much unmatched. If they decide to try to eliminate her as part of our attack, then they're opening up another space that like is not particularly fun to defend against us. And so she is so much a part of the equation of how we put pressure on the opponent. As it relates to like how she can take that next step, I think defensively, continuing to 1v1 win as many of those matchups as possible. I know she's tried to become a better 1v1 player in attack. We're working on her on different variety of service. So she has certain service that she's like incredible. There are others that I think she can come up with a few more assists if she adds that to her bag. You know, she scored a couple goals last year, and she always seems to score really important ones. But she'll have some opportunities to maybe score a few more, and you know, even in training, you can see her get a little bit like goal hungry in the right way. So you know, the best thing I can say about Caroline is there's probably not a ton more ceiling wise, but that doesn't stop her from trying to continue to expand her game.
The players earlier talked about expectations. What's your view on that, based off of maybe what you expected when you first got here and what you've already accomplished, and now there may be a little bit more people paying attention to what's going on here? How do you kind of manage that, or what's your view on that this season?
It's easier and more fun year one with no expectations. You know, it's my personality. I love coaching a team that's an underdog. If anyone gives us bulletin board material, we're going to use it. You know, this year it's a little bit tougher. You know, we appreciate some of the respect that we've been given. I think it's earned. You know, I think part of trying to shift into this next phase of our program is not being afraid of saying we're a pretty good team. You know, like holding our shoulders high and back and going on the field expecting to win, but also understanding what it's going to take to get there. It's a different set of responsibilities. You know, one of the things we try to impart on the players that are new to our program is like, hey, a lot of work went into this, like to get to this point. Let's not forget what allowed us to be here in the first place. But yeah, I remember walking into this first one before year one, and I'm like, hey, I have no idea if this is realistic at all, but like we're gonna try to make the NCAA tournament. And that could be like such a pipe dream, but like this is the way we're approaching it. Whereas now, anything less would be a disappointment. And you know, we talked to our team about, like you guys have heard me talk about the RPI, and if as we relate to Wednesday, every, you know, a lot of sports that they'll understandably be like, yeah, like non-conference is used to prepare for conference. And I'm like, well, in our sport, yes and no, but as it relates to making the NCAA tournament, every single game counts exactly the same, right? And came here wanting to eventually, sooner than later, run a program that has that type of responsibility and that type of pressure, and you know, like it's here, and we still think we have a lot of room to grow and some levels to try to hit, but yeah, we'll see if we can find that same consistency that we've been trying to put together.
You've had Soph in net for almost literally the entire time you've been here. How helpful is that consistency, and how have you seen her grow recently?
It's great, yeah. I mean, we've been, you know, Soph and Caroline and Joss, I think, are the three players that have been here from second one, from spring one. You know, all three really important players to this team on and off the field. You know, if you work your way back forward, you know, forward are the people who have to change games with special moments. I think moving from back forward, it's like you change seasons and games and outlooks by consistency, right? And dependability and communication and all the non-glamorous stuff, right, that doesn't get the headlines. It's been fun watching Soph grow. You know, if you see her sitting here behind a microphone, like she's a great steward of the program, and I think she is, you know, super comfortable in her own skin compared to when we first got here. You know, like she has a real presence. I think the sky is the limit for her as a keeper. I think she's as driven, selfless, brave, talented as any goalkeeper I've been around. I think she has high expectations for herself, and so my hope for her this year is that she can play freer, right? She can let her experience and talent take over, not overthink everything out there, because I think when she gets in trouble is only when she's just she's putting pressure on herself, you know, to help this team as much as possible. But her daily actions take care of that, and if she could play loose and free, she's going to be fantastic. And we feel, to answer your original question, I feel very fortunate that we have her as part of this program.
Anything else for Coach? Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Yeah.